Y'all know how black people is. I found this button. I found the button that you do this right here. So we out of space today. I just happen to be toying around in settings. I found this right here. But today we on technology is low, so we got to go back to check out the comments over here. All right, get out of here. All right, we back. Just one. Teran Reed, actual facts, like visible, Shaquem. You know, it's funny, just I actually used one of the people I was thinking about. I have a question. I have a question. It's really a question. I mean, of course, I got a way that I look at it in terms of the answer. But I want to see, you know, certain people that I know analyze things on that level. I want to see what y'all have to say about that. Is this? But definitely, did everybody see the press conference when Deblasio dropped the hymn? So Limar, did anybody else see that? Yeah, Deblasio dropped a hammer today and let everybody know that if you work for the city, you have until I think is it October 31st or November 31st, did he say? But he like all of the rest of the unions or professions, or however you classify it, that was able to avoid getting the vaccine so far, he made it known that the last of the last have to have their vaccines or go on unpaid leave. So that's one question. It's not the question I was originally talking about, but that's one question right there. How close is that to martial law? See, if we had, are there any military brothers in the room? See, because that's one of the differences, to my understanding, of martial law and corporal law. See, in martial law, you ain't really got to do nothing. We said it's this, and you didn't comply, and we killed you. Whereas in corporal law, you got to do something, and then we're going to punish you to the maximum extent. So when you tell somebody in a capitalist society, right, that you're not going to be able to make no money, where this money is what you need to have food, clothing, and shelter, right? And you didn't do nothing. Like there was no pre-existing law that you broke. You instituted this right now. The law is not supposed to work like that. I can't recall what's the specific clause, but I know that the idea is that you cannot make a law to make something that I'm doing illegal. Not for me. Like if they catch you doing something and they like, all right, we don't like you doing that, we're gonna pass a law so nobody could do that. That law only counts for the next person and everybody after that. But that person didn't break that law because it didn't exist when they did what they did. Just said they did that at my job as well. Anyone that does work involving the federal government has to be vaccinated. I'm putting together a case to prep for a medical exemption or religious exemption, strategizing now. The issue with the whole unpaid leave option is how long will they enforce the leave? I mean, you fired. How are you thinking? How are you thinking? You talking about the real deal. You dealing with the real deal Holyfield. They ready to get down. See, that's why I've been working out. See, is not that I'm a win, but it's just that listen, when they get me down to the concentration wherever they got the camp at, we all gonna have a story to tell about what they had to do to get me down there. I ain't going no place. It's funny that we brought that, because, on the city signs tip, hold on, let me come back over here to the new preppers that came in. Y'all don't know. Matter of fact, Shaka Nulu, you want to put me up on this. I've been in the settings, and now we out of space. But quick. I don't know if this is a rant, but I ran into some Karens. Some like in real life. Like I seen them on the news, and it's not like I didn't think they was real. But I seen them now. I seen it for myself, and it was strange, right? The way it happened, and it put me in the midst of a nigga moment. I don't know if y'all know, you can see a lot of y'all are educated Negroes. So you may not know or have experienced nigga moments. But I'm pulling up to the light. And as I'm pulling up to the light, where I'm going, is right across the light. So I'm really, I'm focused, over there. I'm just pulling up to the light. So as I'm pulling up to the light, I noticed this lady, like she's waving at me. She's trying to catch my attention. So it's the Christ. Wait a minute. You prayed to the God for some assistance. So I stopped. Wait, whoa, what's the problem? And she says, you can't go through the red light. Wait, what? First of all, I'm just pulling up to the light. I'm not even, what are you talking about? Like, you wait. So at that moment, but I'm like, so now that she said that, now I'm pulling through the light. And as I turn my head this way to go through the light, another Karen says, stop. You can't go through the light. So now I'm like agitated. I can't believe that I'm in the midst. Like, this is, what has happened to me, right? Where there's not something about me that tells these women that I'm not to be spoken to in this manner. What has changed so I can change it back? I need to know. And as I get to my destination, I get out, and as I turn to go into my location, I see there's another Karen, and they're sitting there, the third Karen and the second Karen is sitting there pointing at me, talking about, I went through the red light. And I'm sitting here wondering, like, what has happened to New York City where this kind of thing goes on? I can't understand. Right. And then, see, that's when it hit me. I actually been going through this for a couple of weeks now. Like, now that I look back in retrospect, I've been really building up to being in this nigga moment where, see, when, like I said, some of y'all is, y'all educated Negroes, and you may have never experienced this. You see, one thing, one thing that happens that lets you know you're in the midst of a nigga moment is when you ready to fuck somebody up on the principle. Like, not even, like, if somebody asks you, like, yeah, but what happened though? Why you have beef with the person? Nah, no, it's just the principle. See, that's the nigga moment. Be like, nah, I'm saying what happened? We did it. Nah, that's the principle, son. Just the principle. You ever been in that situation where you ask somebody, hey, kid, but I'm saying, but why you mad at him? Like, where you know him from? Nah, it don't matter, saying it's just the principle. But now that I realize, like, I put myself in a different state of mind. Because, see, now that I look back and I realize it, I see really what it is. What's the baseline? What's the baseline that's causing me? Because see, after that happened, right? You know, how you say, full disclosure, I chased somebody down. That was when I caught myself like, I'm full blown nigga right now. And I know what y'all thinking right now. Why you chase him down? What happened? It was the principal guy. It was, it was, it was the principal. But yeah, that was yesterday. But now, now ain't really, it was one of the things where he realized it was the principal too. So being that we both was in agreement that was the principal, we came out right. Both of us. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is today's City Science. All right, Christopher Gooden. Complete came in the building, 793rd. Wise you. D Bridges Bay. Yeah, I had a little episode. I can't believe it. But now that we got some heavy hitters in the room, right? 793rd, you from an area. I know a lot of people maybe not from New York, you know what I'm saying? Supreme Divine. But did anybody hear that Mayor Deblasio dropped a hammer over here in New York by he put a hard deadline on all city workers, where if you haven't had the vaccine, it's either, he said October 31st or November. I can't really recall. Or you might say November 1st, I think. Right? That if you don't have the vaccine by then, you go on unpaid leave. Which is basically saying that you fired, but you in the union. So we can't say you fired. Now, the question that we had already asked, I got a bigger question, but how close is that to martial law? When we know that in a capitalist society, you absolutely need that income to survive. Like, what does that mean? Like, if this gets instituted, right, and it has a chance of that happening, right? Like, I'm not sure what the number is. Maybe somebody out there could look this up real quick, but it's something like 80% of Black people in America live in close proximity of like 10 cities. In these cities, you know what I'm saying, with these liberal kind of, the military already started discharging soldiers. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, when does this start to, like what I heard is they're giving soldiers dishonorable discharges. And I'm just wondering, like, okay, are these soldiers that have been in theaters of war and now you're going to give them dishonorable discharges because they don't want to take the shot? It's kind of late. IB is probably not going to come in. But I got a bigger political question. But what about this, right? When is somebody, because, just from my experience, and in my experience, of course, is anecdotal, right? But when is it going to, when are we going to start to look at the demographics, right, of the people that's losing their jobs? Because I predict, right, or I would think, right, without seeing the numbers, I would think that a lot of Black women are about to be affected. See, I would also think, right, that, just from, like I said, this anecdotal experience, but the city job, right, I'm saying what it represents totally in the Black economy. You know what I'm saying? Like the brother said, discharging people from the military. I'm just saying that look at these staples that those have been in the Black community. You know what I'm saying? Because now, of course, if you haven't had the vaccine, if they're kicking people out, of course, they're not going to be letting you in. How many brothers have, and sisters, right, have gotten on the first rung of the ladder through the military? We just had Colin Powell just returned. I don't know, if he went to college, he had a particular field of expertise. But, we can clearly see with the military different. And then these city jobs, you know what I'm saying, for Black people, that's like a thing. Well, it used to be. This is the post-Cosby era, right? This is the post-Cosby era where, you got a lot more people with college educations and things of that nature. But when I was growing up, the city job was, this is damn near George Jefferson status. When somebody gets a job with the city, the income, the security, the benefits. So what is that going to equal? But here's my big question, where we keep talking, but this is not rhetorical. This is actually a question where I'm saying, I got my things that I think about it, but I'm saying, I'm wondering what everybody else thinks about it, right? What does it mean, right, about the form of government that we're existing in, right? If hold on, let me word it like this. The government is using business to enact a law. Now I know, somebody who is a lawyer or a politician is going to say I'm not using exact terms. But if there's a penalty, right, then there's a law somewhere. What I'm saying, that's my point though, is that, yeah, it hasn't been passed by Congress. Just by fiat, you're saying that I got to do this. And you going back 100 and something years saying that something happened in 1905 or something like that, right? That there was a case in Massachusetts where a person was mandated. That's how school vaccinations and all of that came into play. Is that there was somebody who, if you didn't want the vaccine, you had to pay a fine. And eventually this person got tired of paying the fine and they went to court, and it went all the way to Supreme Court. And that's where it was deemed that for public safety, they can mandate people take the vaccine. But what I'm saying is that there's other things that the Supreme Court ruled on at that time, right? It's a couple years earlier than that, right? But in the 1890s, right, at some time in the 1890s, you had Plessy versus Ferguson that the Supreme Court ruled on. And later, of course, that was found to be unconstitutional. Remember, that's also before the precedent, right, that came along with my body, my choice with abortion. But the fact that they're using business, right? The fact that they're using business to enact this law, what does that mean about the form of government that we live in? Because I could tell you right now, my point of view is now saying the ship just left the port. The ship just left the port. I mean, or maybe I missed something. This is why I got to ask questions. Is there something I'm missing here? Because see, before, I remember the corporations used to use the government. And what I mean by that is ExxonMobil used the government to get at that oil. Dole and Chiquita bananas, they could use the government to get at those plantations. Like, what does this mean about who is pulling the strings? Because we know Biden is definitely not Geppetto. And to a certain degree, yes, outside of our everyday, but nah, son, this is every day now. This is something that's affecting our everyday existence. And it's something that, listen, see, like I was the brother brought up in the class, whoever was watching the other day, see, this is something, see, now is challenging your creative power. It's challenging a lot of things. And see, it's not to say that whatever decision somebody make is going to make or break them, but it's a challenge. It's a challenge to your creative power, right? You know what I mean? Can you survive? You know what I mean? We ain't talking about can you draw pictures and shit. We talking about can you devise a method to survive? See? Because that's what freedom means too. Yeah, it's freedom from bondage. It's also freedom from dependency. You can't depend on the motherfucker. You want to be free, you on your own now. So you can say, yeah, they challenging your freedom of what we free to do in America. Yeah, you free to do what the fuck you want to do. You free to tell them motherfuckers no. And you free to find a fucking way to survive too. But saying, the ship just left the port. Like I'm saying, the whole time, the whole history that I've known, you know, business was always behind some shit the government is doing. But now it appears to be that the government is now doing some shit because look at how they doing it. They doing it on some jail shit. See, you seeing how that's how they do. And see when look, it's some school shit too. But you know, school is just they just preparing you. But see, that's how they do. See, they want a certain person or a certain group of people. Yo, the person or people that did this right here, yo, unless that person turn themselves in, we punishing all of y'all motherfuckers. And so motherfuckers got to turn on each other. Or motherfuckers with that mentality, should I say. Those that see what the fuck is going on, it's like, yeah, bring it on, motherfucker. But how they doing it, right? They're not telling you that, yo, we gonna lock you up. They're not telling you if you don't take the vaccine, we gonna fine you this amount of money. They're not saying we gonna arrest you, we gonna give you a ticket, you gonna have no. They're telling the businesses, if you let motherfuckers in there with that ain't got that vaccine, we gonna hit you. So that's that white man shit, son. See, to make the devil, what must one first do? Got to graph from the original. To graph, what must you first do? Separate. I'm talking about just in terms, listen, I ain't just talking about this as a conspiracy theory. I'm talking about this in terms of all the things what we try to accomplish, right? Like, first of all, even before we get there, right? All the things that we are and have been doing. Like, you know, my children is not taking this. Like I said, now it's a true test. See, I'm one, look, I'm, listen, besides like food, even clothing, fuck that. Besides food and shelter, listen, I'm ready to give all the rest of that shit up. I don't need to go to your basketball game. I don't need to be in your restaurant. Whatever the fuck you got that you don't want me in there because of that, then yeah, I'm ready. See, that's the first thing, the impact that is already having. Like I already know people. See this, they put another debt. I already know people that's already on paid leave. Well, I already got to add on myself. Then I just got to add on. But now, what I'm saying is also, what about all the things, right? What about all the things that we still have to accomplish? Like, what does that mean now? Like, yo, who we got to talk to about reparations now? Because it ain't the same people. At least, this is what I'm saying. Am I on the ledge? Am I popping wheelies right now? Somebody pulled my coat. I'm saying, who we got to talk to now, because I thought we had to talk to some other people. But see, this right here, the way this is looking, it's like, nah, this is coming. And hold up, where's my conspiracy theorist at? But this looks like it's coming from a higher level than the government or corporate America. See, because remember, even corporate America, they still depend, like right now, these different, YouTube, Google, they make money. You see, in order for them to get into that money, they had to get blessed with all these investment people. Did you ever see, and I've always, I don't know if we ever discussed that, but there's a, what's the name? Uh, and shout out to the people that be sending me stories. When I was born, be sending me stories, VC Realm, and I just caught on from watching other people's channels. I should be covering those on the show. Those are show ideas. In fact, I didn't get a chance to look at that. We're gonna look at that. Like I said, right now we in a low technology situation where I'm back just broadcasting off the phone right now. So when we get back in the pocket over there, probably in the G building, we're gonna cover that story too. Did anybody see where somehow I didn't read into it? I wanted to go into it on the show. So y'all can see what I really think. But it was somehow the notion that Fauci had nothing to do with the gain of function research dealing with this, the Pepsi Cola. It was debunked that he had nothing to do with it. In other words, it was proven that he did have something to do with it. Complete, and that's the science right there. See, that's the signs. See, this right here, over time, I'm gonna get good at that kind of shit. You see this right here? Where God said, forget reparations. We need preparations. See, that's some shit right there. Where it's a whole lot of shit weaved into them couple of words right there. See, that's the whole science right there. See, that's knowledge to build or destroy. It's preparation. You see, as soon as you add that knowledge that takes it to born, it's showtime. What was the name of the book Rob Bourne added on about the Secretary Bernice wrote? That's a good question. I'm gonna ask I actually was talking to him right before I came on. He was doing a little broadcast on this other channel. I was checking it out. But yeah, I'll get that. Oh, let me catch up here. Say here, it's actually a violation of the Nuremberg Codes. So, the Nuremberg Accord, forcing people to take unapproved drugs, testing on people involuntary. Now, here's the thing with those Nuremberg Codes that's funny. Now, the Nuremberg Codes, just for clarity, is Nuremberg is where they had the trials for the Nazi Germans, the Nazis, like the lead people, the lead officers that was a part of, Hitler's regime or whatever. They had their trials over there. And so a lot of things that it was revealed that they was doing, right, was made against the law, right? Before the Nuremberg trials, there's another thing, the Treaty of Versailles. The Treaty of Versailles came after World War I. Nuremberg is after World War II. Both of those things was kind of, Versailles was kind of like, yo, that shit you had, like, you had the Industrial Revolution, and the Industrial Revolution increased the capacity to do everything, right? It increased the capacity to grow food. It increased the capacity to make clothes. It increased the capacity to kill. And so after World War I, they came in and was like, yeah, some shit like, nah, son, you can't use that. Like, that's not, like, you know what I mean? Like, look, we both got it. We got it. Yeah, I got it. But look, we can't use, like, that's too much. However, those codes, in particular with Versailles, right? Those codes are international. So those are things that you can't do in a theater of war, right? But people do that shit to their people. Like, see, you can't gas motherfuckers in war, but they can gas their people. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm just saying with the Nuremberg, I do know what you're saying, but I think that that is how they getting away with it. I think that's the precedence. Not that I agree with them or disagreeing with you. I hear what you're saying 100%, but I think that's why they're able to get away with that. I'm not sure, like, if those codes, like, okay, on an international level, but see, the Nuremberg Codes cannot be binding, right? According to most constitutions of most nations. It has to be an international thing where the international community come together and say, yo, we feel like you violating these codes, and, you know, we had a vote in the international community, we step into you. You know what I mean? But who do you go to, right, to, you know, who's the 911? Who you file that complaint with? So, you know, agreeing with you, but I'm just saying that again, right? What is the regime that we dealing with where these things are the cases? That's just the, you know, that is still, you know, what you're saying. I'm adding on and saying that what you're saying is adding on what I'm saying, because yeah, who do we talk to about that? You violating that. Because clearly it's not how we was thinking, how I was thinking. Complete said here in South Sea, it looks like they're going to fight for as long as they can. You talking about South Sea, talking about South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. If that's what you mean, well, you know that because my family is from South Carolina. You know what I'm saying? And that kind of spirit of, listen, we don't take orders from the federal government. You're going to have to kick our ass is ancient in South Carolina. The Civil War started in South Carolina. That was the first, it was a blockade in Fort Sumter in Beaufort, South Carolina. Shots fired. That's where the first, I mean, don't get me wrong, you had the Missouri Compromise and all type of skirmishes that was happening, but I'm talking about the first shots fired where we all in the army, but we stationed in South Carolina, and y'all some niggas from the north that y'all got this blockade. Shots fired was in South Carolina. So that there's people there resisting, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, all of these types of things is coming into play now. That's what I'm saying. That now we see that these liberals, and I'm not saying they agree with the Republicans. I'm not down with none of them. But we see that these people, man, that's been telling us all about how, yo, we need to be free and freedom of choice and your body, your choice, and all this shit now is the main motherfucker saying, nah, you better do this shit. I also heard today that some new variant came out now. They're calling it Delta Plus. Plus what? So now what happens? How far does this go? And can we still say right? Can we still say that this is look, even, let's be specific. Can we still say that this is a representative democracy? Because see, what is the point of the representative democracy? This is what I'm saying. These is government questions about what you thought was the rules, right, of where we live according to what the real letter of the law say. See, representative democracy, right, is supposed to exist, I guess the savoir faire of it, right, is that it protects the rights of the minorities. That's one of the reasons for the Senate. It's one of the reasons why the Senate has a little bit kind of like a tempering effect. You know what I mean? Like it kind of like levels out. You know what I mean? Because see, in the representatives, right, those are the people that really represent the people. Like with the whoever is your representative in Congress, they represent your neighborhood, or they supposed to. Of course, you got all the gerrymandering, whatever that's. But I'm just saying that they're a local person that has to answer to local people. See, and that's why every neighborhood, depending on how many people are there, that's how many representatives they have, because they represent the people. I'm not sure what the number is, but for every so many people, you get a representative. If the population increases, you get a new representative. If it drops, you lose a representative. For instance, people have been moving to Florida and Texas, right? They've gained representatives since 2000. New York has lost 2 or 3 representatives. You know what I'm saying? And delegates in the presidential decides too. But I'm just talking, let me deal with one thing at a time, right? Now, the Senate, every state has 2 senators, right? Because this has to level it out. Because Rhode Island, they might have 10 representatives. I don't know what the actual number is. I just know that number is going to be way less than California. It's going to be way less than New York. It's going to be way less than Florida. So in order for them to, still be able, so in other words, it's like, okay, y'all may outnumber our representatives, but when our senators go in there and vote our interests, that's going to level it out because we all got the same amount. So see, even if you tell me 80, 90, 99 fucking percent, right? 99%. See, the rights of the minority is supposed to be protected in a representative democracy. Because see, in all reality, democracy means, look, it's more of us than it is of y'all. What y'all gonna do? But see, just because it's more of y'all than it is of us doesn't mean that what y'all said is right. See, when it comes to when we want to steamroll the 1%, what they start talking about, well, now see, these things don't work like that. You got to deal with the rule of law. Nah. This is not the rule of law. This is the rule of fiat. Meaning the government just said that that's what fiat means. And when you say a said person of that ability, you a fiat person of that ability. Just by government fiat, a motherfucker in there that don't represent you. How many of us voted for Fauci? This nigga is not supposed to have that kind of power. Or listen, pull me back off the ledge. Pull me back off the ledge, somebody. But if nobody voted for you, you ain't supposed to have that kind of power. See, all them other things, like I said, the House of Representatives, right? Originally, the House of Representatives was the only people that the population directly voted on. People didn't vote for the senators until the early 1900s. Before that, the senators was appointed by the state legislatures. And see, them people who was behind the expansion of the federal government and wanted to control everything through the federal government, you know, the Federal Reserve, all that type of shit like that, they was like, nah, we got to put this shit in a realm where we can control it. See, that was one of the reasons, see, the Southern governors who's at the head of the state legislatures was able to control the Senate through that. See, that's where Huey Long, I'm sidetracking now, but I'm talking about these Southern governors, right, that was there during the Jim Crow era. The George Wallaces, the Huey Longs, these motherfuckers control the state. And the corporate motherfuckers was like, nah, you gotta change that. Now, we already know the president, right? You got the three branches of government. You got the Congress. Like I said, the Senate just came into the popular vote. The president, of course, is not the popular vote. In the judiciary, you don't vote for them. They're appointed by people that you vote for. So yes, indirect, but you don't vote for that. And so if you got one part of the government, right, that the people directly have an impact on, right, versus these other three parts of the government that we don't, it's clear that these other parts of the government is there to outnumber our power. I'm saying our as if when the Constitution was written, like I was down. But I'm just saying, who we holler at about that? Like I said right now, look, you know, I'm paying, you know, I'm paying for this shit. It's not an issue, but I'm just saying, who can I holler at? Who can I holler at, you know, to let them know, you know, if y'all ever you know, realize a mistake in your ways, I need to holler at you by getting some of that back or something. Who's the people now? I'm talking about when we going through this in the degrees, you say he like, who's the people that's telling the lies, stealing and trying to master the original man? Because see, I don't know about the CEO of Target and Best Buy, all these motherfuckers, but I know that the average store owner right here in New York, niggas like, listen, man, I'm just trying to stay afloat. But they got my back against the wall. They gonna come over here. I'm barely making it now. I can't take no fine. Like Just One said, and I already seen that. I told the guy that how they gonna get everybody else is that if you got any type of contract, if your company got any type of contract, they're gonna that you work with the city, they're gonna tell you, okay, yeah, you're not gonna be able to renew that unless you can, guarantee us this amount of your people or whatever you're dealing with is going to be dealing with vaccinated people. Otahan came in. $793 said New York is a large and political focal point state in the country, and your man is setting an example outdoing other cities to get economies back kickstarted and asses in the streets, safe, so to speak. No, I mean, I'm not arguing with you. I'm arguing with that concept that they're coming with. No, they're shutting this shit down. Like literally, I'm saying this, right? Places, places gotta hire a whole new person. Like a lot of, some of them, they make and do it, whatever, but a lot of places that you go, especially like right now, it's Friday night, they gotta have an extra vaccine card checker. Hold on, y'all, 1 second. Let me handle something. Yeah, peace there. But basically, because along with that, I'm gonna tell you another thing that I've been seeing, right? Or we've been seeing for a while here in New York, to the point where I think some people is too used to it. See, I still notice it. But for a couple years, we got people walking around in New York, straight military down, man. Fatigues, M16s. They got the 9/11 for a couple years. It looked like a war-torn country up this motherfucker. Like, it wasn't, as pronounced, hundreds of thousands of troops, but son, was troops. And you go just walking down the street, you pass the motherfucking Metro North, there's troops out there. And they still around. They not so much. You gotta remember, the New York City Police Department is a part of Homeland Security. There's some partnership. Like, some of the New York City police cars have Homeland Security on it. Like, there's a Homeland Security unit. And there's certain times where ask IT to be here live with us, 2016, whatever the rest of his name say. I tell them all the time, they got some type of credible threat. They ain't letting us know. Cause I'm moving around. It's like, they got all of the kind of places that you would think would be sensitive. They got them all covered. Like, why they out there deep like that? Where we at in the, see, you gotta be able to respond. Things is changing right now in terms of what is the nothing? What is the nothing that you are getting, right? And what is the prison house that's being built for you? What is the characteristics of that prison house? Like somebody said earlier, they not locking you in no more. They locking you out. The dynamics of that is going to be important, I'm telling you. Because see, when you teaching people and you telling them about the oppression that was 35 years ago, before you got the knowledge, that's come on, OG. They don't even say OG, they don't say OT. Come on, OT, we ain't trying to hear that. Saying they're not trying to oppress us by making us turn the TV with pliers. We don't even. How would you turn the TV with pliers? Like, if you was born after 2000, right? And somebody tell you, once upon a time we used to turn TV with pliers. If I was born that time, I would think, well, what the fuck would you do with pliers? Like, how would what would you do? Like, how you gonna use the pliers on a TV? What would you do? They never seen TV with no turning knobs on it. And I've never seen this kind of shit going on that's going on around us right now. 793rd said Deblasio is still trying to complete bike lanes on all the incoming bridges. Were they putting bike lanes on the bridges between Jersey and I know they got it on George Washington. But yeah, that's wild stuff. Yeah, that's wild. Chief said the professor from Rutgers published the proof that they was working on gain of function, but they ain't call it gain of function. Yeah, Fauci, yeah, he listen, man. But I already knew. Jason Rosario TV, Felix Almanzar. So if I Bill said he been in Charleston. Yeah, I got family around there. My uncle, he moved out there, but we ain't really from over there. We more from Beaufort County, which I think Charleston is Beaufort County, to my knowledge. But yeah, all in that area. So our chief said that. See, this is what I'm saying. We're at that level where it's like there's an America that we thought we was living in, that we felt we was living in, that's marketed, and then there's the letter of the laws, right, in the Constitution, in the codes and statutes, in the states and municipalities. Mr. Spot, we've been waiting on you. We have an interesting question on the table. We have an interesting question on the table here. Yeah, now so what you well from it's only one bridge. You mean tunnels? You said all bridges into Manhattan from New Jersey. You mean tunnels? That's only George Washington, to my knowledge, to go to Manhattan from that side. Or you talking about the Gothels and all that, but that go in Staten Island. Yeah, I seen that on the map before. Beaufort in North Carolina, but see Beaufort, I forget who the guy is, but Beaufort is one of those names that like he was somebody that did something far enough back and shit, or maybe it was the name of a place of some place in Europe where there's some names that anywhere you go in America, like there's a Washington County in probably every state. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? It's just some things that's how it is, man. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. All over New York, yeah, they put a lot of bike lanes. But Mrs. Spot, we have a question concerning uh concerning the institution, the kind of like the avenue through which they instituted these mandates, right, is coming through business. The government, right, wants to make a law. They want to make a law that everybody takes this vaccine. But instead of doing what is the American political and legal process, which is you make a bill, right? People read the bill and then put their input in the form of speeches for or against the bill. There's a vote on the bill. The president ratifies the bill with his signature, and the bill becomes a law. But instead, in this instance, what we see is the government using their because see, every business, right, has to be authorized by the government. And so, when you incorporate or whatever it is that you do, you agree to their authority and their rules. So now, through the rules and authority that they can impose on businesses, right, they're using the businesses to cause to make people take the vaccine. And the fact that the business is punishing you, right? If you're being punished, there's a law there. I know there's not a law, according to the Webster's Dictionary or according to Black's Law Dictionary, which is a, particular statute that's gone through all of the political deliberation processes, to become a concrete pillar in a society. However, if somebody's getting their ass kicked, there's a law there. There's a law, spoken or unspoken, right? So here's the question, Mr. Spot. What form of government are we under now? What does that mean? Like, even in terms of, like I say, just from my anecdotal experience, as well as the history that I know about, right? The corporations have always used the government. Whether it's ExxonMobil saying, let's do Desert Storm, rather it's Chiquita or Dole or whoever, Banana saying, let's raid Central America. Whether it's De Beers and Rhodes saying, let's raid South Africa. This is the way I've seen government work, right? What does this mean now? I'm saying, who are the people that we talk to? I'm saying that was a part of all the things what happened before. Like Frederick Douglass, he was able to understand, okay, who's the people that I need to talk to get this issue out front. Okay, we need to holler, look, we need to holler at the main nigga. See, Frederick Douglass understand now, see, we got to get this word to Abraham Lincoln. See, when it got to that level, niggas knew, Martin Luther King and all of them, they had that meeting. A. Philip Randolph, all the brothers saying, look, who you want to talk to? Nigga, we need to holler at Lyndon Johnson. Now, I don't want to talk to the secretary. We need to holler at Mr. Lyndon Johnson. If you're dealing with a lot, who you want to holler at? This nigga here, who's this nigga? Now I'm saying him. Did you ever read that book, Man's Man? What Barry Goddard said? Who's that? Now don't say nothing to him. What I want to holler at the man. Who we holler at now, Mr. Spock? Because, Mr. Spock, you cannot contend to me. There's no way you could tell me and still have me see you as a man of knowledge and wisdom that Biden is the man we got to holler at. Let me tell you something. Biden don't even know who the man is. He just know it's not him. But he can front his ass off. That's what he know. But he type of nigga, he like Richard Pryor. Nigga, you don't own it. You just front your ass off. Oh man, I ain't see that. So far, Bill said, did I see his message in regards to an individual? I suppose he was, let's say, an insincere. Because I mean, we, I was told a couple of days ago that I'm diplomatic. I listen. I actually was like, yo, I came a long way. Like someone just called me diplomatic. So I just wanted y'all to know that, look, if I start being known as diplomatic, I'm not with y'all no more with the bad guys. I'm not going to embrace it anymore. I'm going to sell. I'm going to sell right out. But in the interest of diplomacy, we're going to say that this individual, what it sounds like to me, is an insincere transgender. He's an insincere transgender woman. Not for nothing. If y'all could clarify that to me, a lot of times but I think I got it now. Because like when you transgender, right? I don't know if you're a transgender man or a transgender woman. Meaning, because you've been both either way. I'm just saying according to what they saying. I'm trying to understand it, right? Because you've been a man and a woman, I don't know if you are you a transgender man if you was a man and then you transitioned into a woman, right? Or does that make you a transgender woman and vice versa? Or did I already say the vice versa? But what I mean is for women too. I don't know. When I kick it with the millennials, we don't talk about that. But getting back to Self-Help Bill, the story right here. So apparently an insincere transgender violated the female in the bathroom at school. No media outrage. I mean, yeah, that's let's put it in a context that's more speaking, from a standpoint where it's more a community that could be more identified with me. So maybe people won't take it as offensive, right? But you know how us in the Black community, we know certain people that did a lot of time in jail and they be crazy. They just be crazy. Like, just, you can't even talk to them about certain shit because they crazy. And see, a lot of people, a lot of times they say, yeah, you went to jail all that time, and he got a little bit crazy in there. But see, here's the thing. First of all, full disclosure, I've been in there with them, but then more so than that, I knew them before they went in there. Like, I knew y'all niggas. Look, in the first grade, I knew y'all motherfuckers. And guess what? They was crazy in the first grade too. They didn't turn crazy because they went to jail. They went to jail because they was crazy. And see, sometimes, I laugh, but it's serious. The people in the community is being blamed for, people, maybe even doing things to harm themselves, and it's like, yeah, maybe certain things in the community exasperated that, but nah, that already existed. Like, there's some things that's like, nah, you got to stop. Like, that's a certain science, man. I'm gonna go into some city signs. I'm going to some city signs right now. Let's complete this stuff. Because that was some other thing I was thinking about too. That was crazy, man. I've been hearing some stuff. And it sounded crazy at first, but I didn't say anything about it because I thought that's probably just an individual person. Then I started hearing it all up, and I was like, yeah, that's crazy. But we wind down with that, I guess, after I come out this rant. But I'm still waiting because, okay, let me just ask the question. let me just say, maybe you're not catching. Is this fascism? I'm saying, has the kind of loop been closed? Meaning, like I said, we have multiple instances of businesses and corporations, economic interests using the government, right? But now we have the government, or working through the government, but now we have the government working through these businesses and corporations, even the businesses that they started, right? All these government jobs, right? These are businesses that you're still affecting it through your businesses and not through your constituents. And police said the Hiltons was the ones who sold all the plantation properties, was something I learned a few years back. What you mean, like Paris Hilton? Or you talking about like Hilton Head? Wait, does Paris Hilton have something to do with Hilton Head? Okay, so this was by trans, he meant a woman who, I mean, a man who transitioned into a woman, apparently went into the female bathroom and behaved inappropriately. Alkim Salam in the building. Complete said the Supreme Court gonna let that fly. The way it's looking right now, they've so far sided with uh, everything on the side of the mandate. Uh, I mean, eventually, some of the challenges, but I mean, first of all, there comes a question, right? And this is in my mind. As I said, these are questions based upon what, as a lay person in constitutional and statutory law, right? There's certain things that I was under the impression of, uh, that we, that's kind of the test. Like, these cases, there's gonna be people that's gonna resist. They're gonna have cases, and these cases are gonna go all the way up to the Supreme Court, and we're about to see if they're gonna let that fly. That's a good point right there. District 120 say, once you get the job, your job still ain't secure. You can fire me if I don't take it, but is my job secure if I do take it? People got fired from being out without COVID. Hmm. Mr. Spock said, there is no one to talk to now. The only way is unity, which is not being exercised. I just heard a gay person a few minutes ago say laws are in place for us. I said, see, they know this. I mean, uh, oh man, New York State is going crazy right now. I just got a little alert on while I was looking at the phone, but you know, that is something that is also another thing that's like interesting to me, how many people, just like for instance, with Kathy Hochul or whatever her name is that became the governor of New York, right? I'm sure that in any other instance, she would be talking all about how, people having free discretion over what happens with their bodies, and how, the right to birth control and what is done for women such as herself. Um, for her to, be a part of a mandate that I have to do something of that nature, uh, yeah, that's it. That's extremely peculiar to me. Uh, in that instance, somebody that is gay, just knowing that, because see, they bring that up, when I say they, I don't want to, make it seem like they aliens or something like that, like they not regular people. But I'm just saying that's something that they would bring up, that there was laws that outlawed their very existence. They would be quick to bring that up to you. So for them to say to me that, oh, well, this is the law now, this is what we have to do. These laws are in place for us to be safe. But what about the laws when you could be arrested, for being who you are? Because Seth Bill said, if you want to holler at somebody now, you got to holler at the man in the mirror. This whole thing is headed towards the trash can at a rapid rate, and Joe is celebrating the gas with no brakes. I mean, listen. Yeah, I'm diplomatic now. You, one day you'll learn about that. Mr. Spock said Congress is letting the president do what he wants. That's not the way it's supposed to be, but that's the way the country has been ran for many years. It's as simple as making a statute and calling it. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I think even this whole thing is the culmination of a lot of things. Like I said, going back to Bush with his prescription healthcare plan, to Obama with his healthcare plan, to now where these companies know that, yo, look, we could just advertise these variants. Like, motherfuckers ain't checking us. They just saying, yo, we said we got it. And motherfuckers they staring everything our way. But for a minute, I want to say, I remember Reagan doing some shit. Like, the way military action goes, the president can, by presidential, just executive order, he can order troops to go fight, I think, for 30 days. It's either 30 days or 90 days. And then after that, Congress is supposed to vote. I'm pretty sure Reagan made some moves that I recall. I don't think Congress voted for the invasion of Grenada. But just for a while now, it has been things, and even the way the Supreme Court has been operating, like where people be doing something, right? And then they go to the Supreme Court before a law is passed about that. Yeah, they've been shirking a lot of responsibility, not just to the executive branch, but also to the judicial branch. And so that's why, a lot of what you call political correctness is not coming out the Congress, it's coming out the Supreme Court. Man, brilliant innovation. I don't think we can go back to that. Man, Shakanula, yeah. This is, we're just only like a couple of weeks away. We used to be Hotep over here. Yeah. Now look, Self-Out Bill said, what happens if all these cops, firefighters, etc., say they ain't taking it? How does that aftermath look? I tell you what it looked like in New York. It looks like scores getting settled going all the way back to the 60s. If they lose the amount of police that's on the line right now, all bets is off. Put your helmets on. Wait, what? Somebody said on a house buying show that his partner was pregnant, and when she gives birth, she would then transition into being a male. See, when I read a statement like that, right, it makes me realize that I'm older now. Like on a regular day, I don't feel it. I don't have like aches and pains and shit or shit that I used to do that I can't do. You see, I read a statement like that, and I'm like, yeah, clearly I can't even figure out. Like, see, I don't have the type of knowledge that it takes to understand that. Like, you got to know things in order to understand things. I need more knowledge to even comprehend that. See, Shakanulu made a good point. The culmination of a plethora of freedoms, just saying that a lot of things that, might be distorted, in our view of the world that we around, is I had brought up that point earlier that freedom works both ways. See, when you free, you also free to fuck up. And see, that's why freedom without no culture don't work. Just like culture without no freedom don't work. Yeah. But getting back, somebody said something a while ago. I remember it made me think about some city signs. Somebody made me think about some city signs. We get back to it. But I'm telling y'all better watch these people. The paradigm is changing. I'm talking about in a way where, like, when they took the chains off the hands and the feet and put them on the brains, they taking the chains off the brain now, putting them somewhere else or putting them on another part of the brain or something. But I'm just saying that it's like, okay, we're gonna let you out of slavery, right? But we're not gonna tell you basic shit. We're not gonna tell you basic shit. We're not gonna tell you the history of who you are, where you came from, what you accomplished. We're not gonna educate you well enough in, just the basic minimum that you need to build and operate within society, right? But now, that knowledge is commonplace. The, general terms of what Elijah Muhammad meant when he said illiterate in 1934, right? It's not really the problem right now. And I don't think it's too many people that's like, just totally unaware of, Black history. So what that means is now they got to change the method by which they doing things, by which they keeping people in control. And, what I'm saying is just my observation is, yeah, we're in the midst of that right now. Like I said, now they have a whole new name. See, let me tell you something. They know the brothers like me ain't taking it. So they ain't got to call us nigga no more. They ain't got to call us thugs. They can just call us unvaccinated. That's just a small, I just say, that's just a ample sample for example. On what was that? What was that cartoon? Where they used to be racing. It's an ample sample for example. of just a manifestation of, uh, you know, how they shift this thing. Nah, it wasn't Speed Racer. Yeah, it was the shit with Muttley and when all of them when they used to be racing. Like the whole Hanna-Barbera, all the cats used to be Yogi Bear, when all of them used to be in. And it used to be the tiger nigga, they just say, an ample sample, for example. That was the Wacky Racer. I don't remember that. I can't recall the name of it. Yeah, Muttley, Dick Dastardly, Penelope Pitt. Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about, 7930. Who is the name of that? Yeah, but I'm just saying that's just a little sample of one of the things how they do things. You ever notice all the buildings that they deal with us with? They all look the same. They just put a little different carpentry. Edward Green said, I hear you, but never take for granted what you know. You'd be surprised what some people don't know. Um, I mean, you right about that. A sucker's born every minute. I hate to put it like that, but it's true. Uh, I would still say that just there's a collective intelligence. Uh, in the collective intelligence, uh, yeah, you know something? You could be right. The collective intelligence, while it's higher, I would fathom that it's higher than it probably was in 1934 when the lesson was written. It's probably lower now than it was when I was getting knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no, and she came around after I got the knowledge, but just saying, all like that, there's no sister soldier right now that I could think of. Chef Bill said, we definitely witnessing a shift. Things I see original people doing as a youth, I would have never imagined we would be following and doing these type of things. I mean, definitely, there's things that that used to be. There was a time when things used to be looked at that. Things used to be looked at like that, should I say. Like there's things that Black people just don't do. And you're right. That list has been getting it's been getting shorter and shorter. Oh, Mr. Spock, you got hit with the mandate too? The J&J vaccine? I mean, now, I'm not the person to ask about the vaccines. Only because, I mean, I'm not with no vaccine. The last vaccine that was taken by anybody in my family was that had to be like the early 90s, like 90, 91. And yes, I've had, every one of my children was born after that. So, I'm not going to give you a balanced answer. I don't take aspirin. Now, don't get me wrong. If I had certain things you wrong me, I might take it. You see, like I don't get headaches. I don't, also, aches and pains. I don't get that. Yeah, they got me. I took them. I took them when I was in school. But like I said, even I sit on here in terms of food. Definitely in terms of medicine, I had no idea about ingredients. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, I'm just looking at it as the medicine that they giving it to me as. You know what I mean? I'm taking it on face value. I'm not thinking about every chemical that's part of the compound. So Now, I was born to say even the lesser of two evils is still evil. I mean, either way, I just, not even the definition of the scientific method, right, accounts for errors. And by that, what I mean is that everything is supposed to be questioned. And so even over the time when science has been wrong, they justify it by saying that the scientific method, right, was to always question things so that it was still through the scientific method that correction was made. And so it justifies science, right? Well, not just the scientific method, but the science. Now, where that comes into play and what I'm about to say is that taking that into account, how can you speak with such certitude right now when there's still so many questions to be answered? The scientific method alone, right, the way you praising it should be saying that there's still questions to be answered. That these are some things that we know, and these are some things that we don't know. But see, in all of these, facts, theories, whatever, concepts, whatever you want to call them, right? How many times do you hear them just say about the things that we don't know? Not just pass it, brush it over, go in depth. You don't know. And see, I don't know neither. But I'm just saying, if we don't know, right, and the first law in medicine is do no harm, then why are we taking something we don't know what it is? Well, see, there's something about that baby boom generation. You talk about Mr. Spock was bringing up how, what Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had to say, in reference to endorsing the vaccine and all of that. And they just have a different type of indoctrination. Kind of in the same way that I said that, the younger generations, right? They they have more socialists. A lot of, even if they're not all out socialists, they embrace a lot of socialist ideas and concepts. Because for the younger generation, the socialists that they kind of, grew up reading about and knowing was freedom fighters. Like, regardless to whatever their tactics was, how vicious they was with it, you know, uh, uh, Fidel Castro was a Cuban. And so he was fighting for his territory. You know what I'm saying? Ho Chi Minh, he fought for his homeland, as opposed to the World War II generation. The socialists that they know is Mussolini and Hitler. People who went out and was aggressive against everybody else and was fighting other people. You know what I'm saying? So, it's just a different perspective. So the people in Kareem's generation, right? They might actually know somebody that had polio. You know what I'm saying? Like, they would have been around when that type of, just the full propaganda of how, all these different little childhood diseases, the measles, the mumps, all of these different things was cured through vaccines. And they have a different perception too of the good guys and the bad guys. They see how we live in this world right now where people is always whistleblowing and they looking and they doing all this fact checking. The brothers like 793rd Complete will remember that there was a time, right, where people used to just accept that the government did secret shit. Like, growing up, people used to say, the government has to have secrets. Ask anybody, if you don't recall people saying this, ask people older if there was a time where people said, if you knew everything the government was doing, you would go crazy. They got to do things in secret because, everybody can't know. Like, in order for them to move in the right way, they got to have secrets from us. But see, like I said, that was accepted because they was living in a world where good and bad could be marketed, right? According to, we're capitalists and this is free, and, this is the land of the home of the brave, and, we just fight to liberate people. And these people over here, they're aggressive and they trying to conquer. And colonialism is over. So you're gonna get that kind of talk. You're gonna get that kind of talk out of Kareem. You know what I mean? Kareem, look, he played his part. But whatever happened, I don't know. It's a question. because look, they got to Muhammad too. Was it something that happened? Like niggas stepped to them and was like, yo, son, you just happy and man Malcolm, right? They don't make us have to holler at you again. Like you see what's going down, right? Elijah told you who he is. Elijah told you how we get down. Don't make us have to demonstrate. I don't know if that happened. But them type of old people like that, I don't even pay them no money. You see, look, even I'm too old for the revolution. Like when I talk to the young people, I tell them like, see, yeah, y'all gonna have to do this. Y'all gonna have to do that. Cause see, I'm Gucci. They ain't really got nothing they can do to me now. You see, the people that gotta live in this world for another 50, 60 years, yeah, you better get busy. Unless they invent some new shit, I'm not gonna make it that far. Let me catch up here. He said, my youngest got accepted to the gifted and talented program. She went top 98 percentile. I heard they shut that program down this year in New York as well. Man, see, yeah, I have been hearing about that. But first of all, shout out to the young queen for pressing on buttons and hitting on switches. But yeah, these is all different impacts. These is all different impacts. What I'm saying, how, it's like, yeah, this is kind of going over, and I'm not saying that it's not a big deal, that people are not making a big deal of paying attention, but are people paying attention that, yeah, all of that is part of the effects of that? That, you know what, yeah, they don't have the teachers for all that type of stuff. You know what I mean? We're going to be losing a lot of resources. Like I said, they've already talking about New York is losing like $100 million of taxes a month or some shit. Whatever the number is, it's not looking good. As the Spock said, the vaccines do what they're supposed to do, but there are risks and they are not needed, and the meaning of herd immunity was changed and makes it like vaccines are the only way of immunization. I mean, look, the shit is just too experimental for me, man. Like I said, for somebody that, doesn't even take, medicine that's been around for 150 years, I, I, but look, it's like I told everybody, man, look, this is on some Heat shit. You remember that scene in Heat when Robert De Niro was like, yo, I got this job right here we could do. It's like, yo, you with it? And one dude, he was like, yo, I'm saying, if you with it, I'm with it. Nigga said, nah, son, nah. Everybody got to make their own decision on this one, son. Like, this ain't no, we ain't getting ready to knock over no bodega right now. Like, this ain't, whatever happens with this, it'll never be the same again. Even if we come off, it'll never be the same again, son. So that's what I say with the decision. Look, I'm not saying I'm gonna be cool in the shade. I'm just saying, nah, I'm not, the people that I'm rocking with is either like me, where look, I'm not complying. Like, it's nothing that you got left to offer me that I want, right? And the other people, they're young enough where, look, you can invest your time and energy in something else and still come off. But it's just one of them things, because have you heard, has everyone heard of the Delta Plus? Apparently, they announced today that there's a Delta Plus variant out now. So what's the case? What you signed up for now? You got to take another one for that. And it's not even winter time yet. He said the vaccines is not so much of the medical side for me, it's the control mechanism that I'm against. It's the start of more to come. And soon you won't be able to there. That's what I'm saying. All these different variants, so now you're going to need to take the next variant for the next vaccine for every next variant. And then another thing you just hit on right there, right? You're saying medicine has to be one of the worst sciences in terms of, I'm saying, useful knowledge that they've determined. Like physics is it's a fairly concrete science. Like, they could build 100 buildings using the laws of physics. In those 100 buildings, I mean, you could be fairly, as long as they correctly applied the laws, meaning all the way through the people that did the construction, everything, they went according to the blueprint, right? You're going to have a better outcome than if they give 100 people, they got the same sickness, the same medicine. Like, the shit is not concrete like that. And see, you know, that could be my own cynicism, whatever you want to say. I'm just saying the numbers is the numbers. So, you know me, like I already told you, I'm not the best person to ask. I'm not taking. So complete, so there have been 219,456,675 total cases worldwide to date. Which, now look, now if you one of them 219,456,675 people, right? What I'm getting ready to say is not gonna mean all that much. But that number, and look, I already know the next number he's about to tell me is the actual mortalities from it. And I know that number is going to be even less, but I'm just saying that number right there, let's say we say 220 million out of 7 billion is not, hey, look, Jan, you blowing this way out of proportion. The district attorney is blowing this way out of proportion. You know what I'm saying? But 4,547,782 deaths worldwide, you know, out of 7 billion and change. $4 million. A billion is 1,000 million. Shaka Noodle said when it starts reaching union contractors, then I'll be a little worried. Well, they have announced now that any company with government contracts, like in particular, they announced the State Department today. Whether you straight up staff, whether you stationed overseas, you in the home office, like that's the next that like I said, that's, you know, my main question. Yo, who's the government now? And what's that next level of pressure? Because I've seen that. Whereas people, it's people who, they own companies, or people that work for companies, right? And they like, well, yeah, my boss is not with it. So I don't, I'm not worried about it. They then start putting pressure on those other bosses. Whoa, that's wild. Hakeem said women told him the first thing they taught her in med school was how to kill someone. Well, who knows? Who knows? But I mean, for me, I mean, I can understand, people saying whatever they saying, look, I could be paranoid, but look, I'm not taking the antidote from the same motherfucker that made the shit. I'm not doing that. Like, it's just mathematically speaking, I'm not doing that. Like I said, everybody's situation, see, my kids, most of them is grown. Some people got infants, that they gotta be concerned with. Everybody, like I said just now, everybody gotta make their own decision. But me, I can't see doing that. I can't see doing that. And yeah, I know I was one of the last people, but it's like, yo, saying, wait a minute, you gave them the money to make this shit, and now you got the cure. Is your name Rockefeller? Can't do it now. On the plus side, necessity is the mother of invention. You know what I'm saying? So right now, they're going bust, or we're gonna turn into diamonds. that's that's where I'm at. You know, it's just like I said, I'm already at the level where I'm dealing with it. You know, it doesn't really bother me. It's just, see, for me, you know, and see, that's why a lot of people don't need to play around. But see, for me, it's like, when a person sign up for the army, like, yeah, they downplay it and tell you, nah, son. I remember, look, they showed me the shit. They came up to my school, they showed me the shit. They was like, nah, man, see, cause you smart and shit. They give you a test when you go in there. So you're gonna pass the test, man. You're gonna be dealing with something like communications, man. You ain't gonna be in what's the name? I'm not playing, I kid you not. This motherfucker showed me pictures of Hawaii and the Philippines and Japan. This nigga showed me. Listen, hula girls, all kinds of shit. Said, "Nah, this where you gonna be at. You ain't going." You and at that time, there was no Afghanistan, no 9/11, Saddam. I mean, yeah, he definitely, was the leader of Iraq then, but it wasn't. It was looking at him like that. They still was hitting him off then. And the dude, he said that. He said, America don't have no enemies. The only enemy they got is Russia. And if they have a war with Russia, it's going to be a nuclear war. So it's not like you're going to get stationed in Russia. It's going to be a nuclear war. And then being that nobody really wants a nuclear war, so that ain't really never going to happen. That ain't never going to happen. You ain't got to worry about that. Ain't going to be no war. Look, you're just going to do your 2 years. You're going to do your 2 years over here in Hawaii. You know what I'm saying? Then you go to college, man. It's how it's the army. Yeah, theoretically, you could die, but now you going to Hawaii, son. See, I ain't signed up over there. I signed up over here. And I remember it was a brother. People been talking about somebody recently. I think that's who that was, man. I remember it was a brother, man. He's like, listen, man, all of us ain't gonna make it. I can't even remember the whole context of what we was talking about. Cause shit, I probably was not even 16. She's scared, man. All of us ain't gonna make it. And fuck you, what? See, that's what happened. You know, you think you can save everybody, including yourself. Everybody think they gonna make it. But we'll see. I mean, look, hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong and this don't turn out like how I said, where motherfuckers start foaming at the mouth. And then I had to double tap. I don't want to have to do that. At the same time, I have a good enough track record, according to myself, of course, but I have a good enough track record of being right that, I'm not going to bet against myself this right now. Not on this one. Complete said I got out the military because it was communications and I was in the jungles of Central and South America and I was in the Air Force. I thought I'd be in the Air Force non-pilot. I was I was good. Yeah, they should tell me that too. That the Air Force, that's where the smart cats go. That the Air Force, if you're gonna go in the military, look, even the brothers that's like, yo, don't never go in the military. It's like, look, if you do go in the Air Force. That's where that's where all the smart cats is. And they said too, that see, in the Air Force, you in the plane, like even if you gotta go fight, you in the plane. So you just shooting at the other nigga plane. You ain't all face to face, knife to knife, eye to eye with a nigga like in the army and shit. I ain't go for none of that shit. Seeing right through them. I remember, look, they should be right on Fulton Road. Remember what Joe Self said, he see me? They should be right there on both sides of the street. The army and the Marines used to be on one side, and the Army and the Air Force would be on one side, and the Navy and Marines be on the other side. Right there on the concourse. They should be out there because during them years, like when Joe Self said he seen me, that that's all during the prime time years. Like I even remember that. That was I was already out of high school then, but they still was trying to recruit me. They should be telling me, yeah, David Robinson. David Robinson was here. He was stationed here. They had stationed him up at the jump off on White Plains Road. He was a recruiter. I don't think he never. I don't know if he even went on no boat. He was a recruiter in time he was in the military. But they would say, yeah, David Robinson. David Robinson was here. They was trying to get the guy. See, now that you came in at the end, I'm about to crash out. Today, I didn't even look. I just had all questions today. People gotta go back and check it. But this one right here, we go ahead and wind this down. We actually stayed on longer than I thought we would. Uh, but at any rate, we did our thing. Everybody do the each one teach one. Hit the like button. This is more of people, the random Jews vets who probably appreciate this more than the new people. So I don't know necessarily if y'all want to post this on all your other pages, but if you do, it helps the channel grow. In the meantime, in between time, I'm gonna say peace. We will be back tomorrow, coming from the G building, and we will be covering some of the stories that the brothers have been sending in over the last couple of days. Shout out to Knowledge Born and VC Realm. You said you didn't get the notification. Yeah, the channel, when I had I don't know if you was tuned in the other day when I told you that I happened to look in the account in the YouTube, and I seen that it's just from just the different support that brothers was giving over the time. I had a whole bunch of loot in the listening, not like car money or nothing, but it was decent. So when I went to get it out, that cut the commercials, that turned the commercials back on. So they on right now. A couple people told me it's a lot of commercials. I got to check it to see if I can cut the amount down. But I think what it is, right, is, YouTube, you know how the 10% is. See, what it is, right, is that I got I got a low amount of total viewers, right? Not that much total viewers, but the people that view, they do the knowledge, you know what I'm saying? Like they tune in for longer than most videos is. You see what I'm saying? So the advertisers is on me. You see what I'm saying? Because they like, oh, people that tune in, they really tune in. I know how they work. That's the algorithm. But I'm gonna see. I don't know if it's there's probably a button you can click. Shaka Nulu might know where it's at. If you tuned in, on the next slide, Tim had cut that down. But I'm gonna look at. I'm gonna check it out. Other than that, I'll check you out tomorrow. We might be on early because I got some early signs I got to deal with, but I got some late signs I got to deal with too. So we'll see. Other than that, we're gonna sign off. We wasn't in the medicine cabinet today. Of course, if Shaquem said he never saw a commercial, you probably got the paid. I think if you got the paid YouTube, you don't see the commercials. You know what I'm saying? But what happens is how they pay you out of that is people that got the paid YouTube, like a part of your subscription, whatever you pay for that, they however they work it out. But that's why so much commercials. That's why the advertisers, they 10% in me. They listen, I'm on here teaching. And they figured out a way to make money off of that. That's kind of low down. That's kind of low down. See, that's the type of thing I'm talking about. But at any rate, let's get back over here. Be back out of space. We back in the we out here, hold up. Is that Born Mastermind? Cruising past? From another galaxy? Wait, hold up. Right here. Is that the other galaxy? Is that where we're really from? But